At this point, is this when you start to live on the beach 24 hours a day?
The first night that I put all my stuff on the beach, I made this really cool hut. This man came over and he was very wide awake and he kept coming over and talking to me and I wasn't able to sleep. And the first night was really scary. I didn't sleep on the beach again for, a couple of years. I was dabbling in and out of, like, I would get in situations like that. I'd be like, dang, I better start working again. So then I would sell flow strokes and I would have money for a hotel. My stuff is at the beach and I may have a place to sleep, to bathe, but like, where am I going to stay? This happened for 1 week. In 1 week, somebody noticed what I was doing. And there was a man named Dan. And he was the producer of a group called Ecstatic Dance. And they are a community of people who are yoga instructors and healers and Reiki energy workers. And um, they're light bringers. And they create a space where they get a DJ and everyone dances and moves their body. He was seeing what I was doing because I was on Breeze Avenue on the hill. And right in front of me was 19 Breeze Avenue. He could see my temple. And he was watching me go out there every day reading nonviolent communication. He was a nonviolent communication coach. And Dan knew everything about nonviolent communication because nonviolent communication goes like this. Marshall Rosenberg says it's 4 things: neutral observations, universal emotions or feelings, universal needs, and then a request that is doable, actionable, right here, right now, that that person can do for you. That is nonviolent communication. It's this very simple process that I was learning about. And he was not only a nonviolent communication coach, we had so many things in common. Like, he also studied yoga like me and knew hypnosis and trauma healing. And so we became really, really, really close. He was my best friend for 2 years, but within 1 week, this person trusted me. Everyone in my life for 2 years had abandoned me. I had no friends. I was living at the beach. Then this person, Dan, said to me something. He said, listen, I can see your temple from the beach, and I see your work. I see what you're doing. Stay at my place. I'm leaving town. You can just have my place. I trust you. I said, listen, if you trust me, then I promise you, with your trust, I will organize it. I will clean it. Like, what liberties do you give me? And he said, I give you the liberties to do whatever you want to enhance my space because I see the work that you do and the work that you are doing and the space that you create, and I trust you. It was just so amazing to hear that because I did create this amazing space. I couldn't believe it. It was like I was homeless for a week and then I had a place to stay. And that's what enabled me to be able to like build that huge structure and create an 11-foot tall yoga studio that the Los Angeles County Parks and Recreation, I went right to their office and I sang a musical. And I sang a musical that I was Daisy the Venice Healer and I was here to heal and awaken and unite us because we are light beings and we are here to change the world and create a new human and a new earth that is more loving and caring and inclusive of all of life. That I was going to build a temple on the beach to help all of us. And that it was going to be on the hill at Breeze Avenue where they have the drum circle. The entire people at Parks and Rec smiled and they looked kind of bewildered, but they were happy about it. They were just like, wow. So I went and I did it. I did what I said. And while I was building, a Parks and Rec official came, and boy, was he surprised when we were drilling and building a real live yoga studio. We were building the frame of it, and it was like a building, and it had wood floors, and it was like, I mean, this was happening. He was like, stop it right now. And the police were going by, and the police were watching, and the Parks and Recs guy said, stop her. And I remember smiling at the police and them smiling at me, and they had been giving me props for the past couple weeks, and they really liked what I was doing on the hill, and we'd been talking. And it was during COVID, and I didn't have to move anything. And the police smiled and they said, "We can't do anything about it. The governor says no." They said, "Not our issue." And then they left. And Parks and Recs guy looked pretty flabbergasted, and I was like, "The building continues, go." Everyone smiled, seeing that we were pretty powerful. This happened a lot at the beach. Like, we would do things, and everyone would be like, "I didn't know you could do that." Like, planting a biodiversified food forest, or building a yoga studio, or building a village of 6 tiny homes on wheels that move around and take people off the ground and meet needs and give someone a home with dignity. I came up with all of these ideas. Like I said, like, I was in that space, so I didn't have to sleep on the beach just one night. And then for 3 months, I was at Dan's space, and then he came back. And then I was in hotels for a bit. Because I was in hotels, I was like having to pay for them. So I was like, oh, I have to work again. And it sucks because I couldn't go be Daisy the Venice Healer, and I wasn't doing my temple. And they actually took my temple down right before he came back because my temple was up like 3 months. So when he came back, it had been taken down. It was a really good 3 months, and it was exhausting having to go every single morning at sunrise and come back home at sundown because it was way too dangerous to be there after sundown. I was kind of ready for the break. I probably lived in hotels maybe for like a month, and that was pretty hard.
How were you financing that?
So when that would happen, like, I didn't want to sleep at the beach, so I would have to work. And I was selling flow strokes, and I would make $450 for my expertise because I would do like a feeling and need coaching session in the beginning, and we would sit down and I would give that person empathy. And I would say, like, what's like 3 things: what's going on in your body, skin in; what's going on in your biofield, skin out, like your feelings; and what are your universal needs. And then I would give them 3 vocabulary lists: body, sensations, feelings, and needs. And we would do this empathy practice, and then we would do breath work. And I would only see clients for $450 because it would have to be worth it for me, because I would have to book a hotel, you know and it was really easy for me to sell flow strokes. Like, I would include an ice bath, and the person would have to bring a bathing suit. We would go into breath work, and I would do hypnosis, and then they would step into the healing bath, and I would have like essential oils and stuff, and it would have ice. And it would be freezing cold, like a literal ice bath. And we would get all of the ice from the hotel because they have the ice machines. You get endless ice, and I would have all this ready, and I would create this beautiful environment with like coconut oils that I would make, and candles, and beautiful healing music, and I would take them into this meditative state. I mean, it was worth more than $450 easily because it was so good. After the ice bath, usually that would last 20 minutes. People would be in ice water, and I would be massaging them and taking them into hypnosis, and they could stay in longer because they would be in such a deep trance and so relaxed. And most people, it was their first ice bath ever. Afterwards, I would do what I call a body scrub. The body scrub would be 30 minutes. So it'd be like 10 minutes prep before, 5 minutes before and after for a prep, and then 20 minutes body scrub. And then the body scrub would be done in like a hot healing bath. So now the person just does ice, and then they do hot. And now it's like a whole other experience where their muscles are melting and relaxed, and there's coconut oil. So now when they get out of the bath, they're covered in coconut oil. So they have a chance to like towel off, take their bathing suit off, come out in a towel. And having been to massage school, I knew how to do like professional draping and stuff. And I would do a professional massage for them. The technique I would use was flow strokes. And you could Google flow strokes. And it would be like a professional version of like Nuru massage, yoga Thai massage with coconut oil, right? I would use my legs like another set of arms, and my feet were like hands. And I taught myself to skateboard barefoot and massage barefoot. And a big part of flow strokes is like having like these octopus arms and legs where it's like having a forehand massage. So, and then since your legs are so big, you could do a stroke from the neck all the way down the body to the toes and back up. Like strokes are way longer, and then this massage is best done on the floor, like Thai style. This would take 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours. I was making really good money if I wanted to. And I mean, I just, it's easy for me to make money. I'm used to being rich, but that's not what I wanted. And my friend Phoenix gave me a place to live, and it was the same thing. Like I could not be for sale, so that meant I couldn't pay my bills. I just couldn't do it. But I also didn't want to be housed. So it was like I would do what I needed to do to get housed, and then I just like would just not want to have any bills. At this point, like Phoenix had had it, and he was like, "Look, there's a program where we can sign up, and all of the back rent you haven't paid will get paid through this program. So let's sign up for the program." So I did, and they paid all the rent, but they were not going to pay rent for me to like stay there. And they probably would have. Like he didn't want me there. He just wanted me to like take care of the back rent and get out. And he was upset that like I moved in and now like I didn't want to work and pay bills. When it was time to move out, I didn't really have a way to move because it was like I had so much stuff. He got all his friends, and Phoenix and all of his friends moved everything I owned, and there was a lot of stuff because it was wood. Even though I didn't have any furniture, like I built everything, and I needed to build. He lived in a studio, and I created this incredible space. It was on the roof, and I had all this outdoor area. So I made the indoor outdoor and connected the wood and like really beautiful. And it created this really zen environment. It was the same temple that I made at the beach, right? And I did it at the spaces I would live. At that time, that was like the first time I ever like lived at the beach. I knew it was gonna happen, that I was gonna be dropped off. So I scouted this area called No Man's Land, and I was like, I will go to No Man's Land. It is at the border of Santa Monica and Venice Beach. I will go to No Man's Land, and that is where I will be, because if the enforcers come from Los Angeles County and Venice Beach, I will go across the border to Santa Monica and they will not be able to get me. I don't know how I was able to find this fence, but he drove me to No Man's Land and I went to this street called Ozone. And Ozone is the last street in Venice Beach is called Navy Street. Ozone is one street before that, between Navy and Rose Avenue. So these are like famous streets in Venice. I chose this magical spot on Ozone, and there was a fence. This fence had like a parking lot, and then it had like an elder senior home. There was a couple people living on this fence already. There's two people, OG and Lady, were living there. And I knew them. I told Phoenix, take me there. And we rolled up with all of my wood and all of my wood flooring and the temple I created. And I built 2 lofts for my sons, for each of my boys. And my boys were born in 2008 and 2010. And my daughter was born in 2016. So I built beds for them. And I had all this wood from that. And it was beautifully decorated and had tile work and was stained and was basically artwork. And I came with a massive amount of stuff. The police rolled up and they were like, no, you're not bringing it here. Phoenix and his friends were just in a hurry to just dump my stuff. And I told them to like circle around, come back, but they said, no, the police are involved. So they took my stuff and they dumped it down the street all the way on Abbott Kinney, which is like a mile down the street, which was really inconvenient for someone who only has a skateboard. They dumped an entire moving van of stuff there. My stuff, blankets, pillows, my yoga studio, aerial yoga ribbons, and I could only like save what I could carry. I moved to the fence and I built a yoga studio. And I brought as much wood flooring as I could, and a bunch of my stuff got stolen. and it took me a few days to get my stuff to the fence, and I was literally transporting it on skateboards. Me and my friends were like literally skateboarding to a mile away in front of this person's house on Abbot Kinney, which is Brooks Avenue, turns into Abbot Kinney. And that's where they dumped my stuff. And then we skated a mile up the hill in Venice Beach, all the way to Ozone to the fence. I built a beautiful temple. There's videos of it on the internet. And it was literally on a fence, separating a parking lot. And then a Jewish community center is on one side, and on the other side is a senior low income beachfront housing. So that's where I lived. I lived between OG and Lady, and I was on the fence. They let me live there, and I built like a little cocoon. And it was not like the space I had on the hill where it was like really public. I was really private. No one knew I was there. OG acted as like a guardian. It's still, it's still a comrade and a friend. And he lived next to me on the fence, closest to the ocean. And then Lady lived closest to the alley, and I was in the middle. So I felt safe sleeping on that fence. I didn't have to be in market economy. I didn't have to sell flow strokes. I could just be free. And it was the first time in my life that I was like free, and I didn't have any bills. And I'm crying because I'm happy. And I was so happy. Like, in this world, we're taught to be embarrassed if we live on a fence. And we're taught that we shouldn't live on a fence, that that's embarrassing. But I loved it. I had so much wood flooring that I would put a layer of wood flooring, and then I would put another layer, and then another layer, and another layer. And I had steps. And in some areas, I had 14 layers of wood flooring, and in other areas, it was only 5. I created an extension where I had a compost toilet, so I had a bathroom. And then 2 more goddesses came. There was 3 of us goddesses living together. We were like the goddess squad, and Lady was there too, but Lady's like an elder. And she is what we call an Anastasia shaman. And an Anastasia shaman talks to the cosmos and does all kinds of stuff and work in the cosmos. And a lot of times people think they're nuts. So they kind of like stick to themselves. But she's really not nuts. She's a genius.